Hi guys, so this is an excerpt from Miriam Style Club where I talk about rounded mixed lines, and the closest Kibbe type to rounded mixed is theatrical romantic. So it's a video that's about a half hour long, and I talk about what makes rounded mixed lines what they are, and I also talk about, then I go through some shopping pages basically and discuss tops for the most part, and then for the other half of the video I discuss pants, skirts, and dresses, as well as shoes. So it's kind of an in-depth look at rounded mixed lines. So I hope you guys enjoy the excerpt, and I'll leave a link down below on how you can join club. Hi guys, so today I thought I would do a video focused on rounded mixed or theatrical romantic in the Kibbe system, and to just look through basically everything like tops, pants, dresses, and maybe if we get to it, shoes, to really do like a focused video on the lines that you guys what you could look for in terms of your lines, when you're shopping. And so I also want to talk briefly about what rounded mixed is, right? So rounded mixed is, in body geometry, is someone who has short lines and someone who has primarily rounded angles to their bone structure, and they have a few sharp elements to their bone structure too. Hence the rounded mixed. And so the thing with this is that the reason why I called rounded mixed theatrical romantic, right? I called you guys rounded mixed is because you guys are actually in between romantic in terms of your bone structure, like rounded, and in between romantic and gamine, okay? So you're in between romantic and gamine because you can imagine that rounded romantic has no sharpness. It's all rounded lines. And then you add a little bit of sharpness to the bone structure and you get rounded mixed. You add a bit more sharpness to the bone structure and then you have a mixture of opposites, right? You have kind of like half the features are sharp, half the features are rounded, and that's mixed, okay? That's a mixture of opposites. So you're kind of in the middle. You're like on the way to mixed, actually. You're on the way to gamine, but you're not. You are primarily rounded because you do have primarily rounded features and rounded shapes to your bone structure. Now, another thing that really needs to be covered is sort of the difference between what you would hear online about theatrical romantic, right, which is the closest type to rounded mixed. And so what I've done is I've basically boiled down what I believe to be the defining characteristics that actually make someone rounded mixed, and that is short lines and mostly rounded angles to the bone structure with a few sharp elements. Nothing else. That means that you might hear online that, let's say, theatrical romantics are a narrow hourglass. In body geometry, it has nothing to do with being an hourglass, and the reason why I have done it this way is because I've studied so many of these examples. I've worked with clients and everything, and time again, those are the things that matter, is the bone structure. That's what matters, okay? Not whether you're an hourglass or not when it comes to figuring out if you are rounded mixed. And for the narrow hourglass example, Mila Kunis is a Kibbe verified theatrical romantic, and you can verify it yourself too. She looks amazing in theatrical romantic, and she has a straight figure. So it's really not true that theatrical romantics always need to have a narrow hourglass shape. And there's also, I'm pretty flexible with the height, in body geometry. In body geometry, you can be rounded mixed and be a little bit taller, like Rihanna is Kibbe verified theatrical romantic, and she is, I believe she's like 5'6", 5'7", or maybe even a bit taller. Maybe you guys can let me know. So I would personally keep her in rounded mixed. I would keep her in the same lines if I found out that she's tall, so I'm not strict on height. So there are some differences between how I do things, and that's why it's body geometry. That's why we're talking about rounded mixed, okay? And I've boiled down what it really matters, okay, when it comes to being rounded mixed. And that's not really the hourglass shape. The height is flexible, although rounded mixed is more of a petite type. You guys are smaller. Your bones are smaller. Your lines are shorter. So, if you're 5'10", you're probably not rounded mixed, okay? but it is flexible, you know. So those are, and also, you know, rounded mixed, just like with all the body geometry types. The reason why I chose such neutral names is because there is no style associated with it. There's no image associated with it. It's only a set of lines to your silhouette, and that's about it. Okay, so now that we've discussed kind of briefly, well, it hasn't been brief, has it? But we've discussed what rounded mixed is, we can talk about how that affects the lines. So just like your lines are, your bone structure is rounded, likewise, the lines of your silhouette are rounded. So that means they're soft, they don't have too many sharp angles. Your lines are short, so that means that the lines of what you're wearing are going to be short. And you also do well with waist emphasis because of the rounded element, okay? Because waist emphasis creates a rounded shape like that, okay? That's your waist, so that creates another rounded line. So even if you don't have a defined waist, you still do really well with waist emphasis, just like Mila Kunis does really well with waist emphasis. Yeah, oh, and you also have a little bit of sharpness to you, right? And so you might want to add some sharpness at the shoulders. You might want to add some sharpness, like some sharp waist emphasis. And that comes from the sharpness of your bone structure. So you just want to echo that in your lines. Okay, so let's get into it and look at some tops. All right, so let's look at tops. So I would say this one would work pretty well for rounded mixed. I think that, you know, it has the lightweight fabric, it has some colorful detailing, and it also has some contrasting colors, some bright colors, and I think that would work beautifully for rounded mixed. And these sleeves are a little bit oversized, so that can add an element of softness. So this top would work really well for rounded mixed. Obviously, you want to avoid anything that has asymmetry because you have short lines, and asymmetry really draws the eye down. It's really going to weigh you down. So anything asymmetric you really want to avoid as rounded mixed. You want to avoid anything that has a geometric pattern like this, and anything that looks like this heavy and textured. You want to avoid that, and you also want to avoid anything that looks this boxy. That's really not going to work too well for you if you are rounded mixed. So something like this would actually work pretty well. You know, it has like the lightweight fabric, has the ruffles and stuff. So something like this would work pretty effortlessly. Like people wouldn't even notice that you have ruffly sleeves, you know. It would just be pretty effortless. Oh, this dress would work. This would work because, you know, it has the sparkles, which is really wonderful. It also has like this feather detailing, which I think would look really beautiful on you. You know, it's like very soft, very lightweight, and the color of the dress is more of a bold color. You know, it's not a pastel. You want to avoid pastels if you're rounded mixed. Oh, someone asked a question, what's the difference? How do you tell the difference between rounded mixed and rounded? And I'll just answer that right now. I might answer it again in a Q&A, but I'll just answer it now. So the way that you can tell, the best way you can tell is the colors. So while rounded looks really, really pretty in pastels, rounded mixed is going to look washed out in pastels because remember, you're kind of on the way to mixed, right? You have a little bit of those elements of the sharpness. So you're better off doing bright colors, bold colors, and pastels can wash you out if you're rounded mixed. Another thing that can wash you out if you're rounded mixed is soft hair colors. So any soft hair colors are going to probably wash you out, and you can tell, like, for example, Beyonce will do her hair really light, like she'll dye her hair blonde, and that looks just so beautiful on her because she is pure rounded. If she were rounded mixed, then that could wash her out. So it's all about these soft colors just not looking quite right on you because you do have that added bit of sharpness to your bone structure. And another thing that you could consider is that also hair looks better when it's a little bit out of your face if you're rounded mixed. And if you're rounded, hair looks better if you have like layers, soft curls all around your face. So those are some differences. And of course, like sharp waist emphasis and stuff like that also looks really pretty on you if you're rounded mixed. And another thing that you could keep in mind, I don't think that this would be helpful for typing, but this is just fun to know. If you're rounded and you wear rounded mixed, you might look like really quite sexy in that, because it's kind of like adding, some angularity to it. It's kind of like adding some boldness that in your silhouette you don't have. So if you're pure rounded, like if Marilyn Monroe or Beyonce are to wear rounded mixed, they can look very, very sexy, okay? Like something that has sharp waist emphasis, something that has a bit of sharpness at the shoulders, that's going to look more sexy on you than it would on rounded mixed. And if you are rounded mixed, then you might actually, in the right context, in the right outfit, you might find that you look quite sexy in adding in more mixed elements, because it'll make you look more womanly, right? Like some more bold colors, like pure black with a bright color of any kind, like with purple or red or something. So that can make you look more womanly. That those dynamic color contrasts paired with maybe some slightly sharper elements, like really sharp shoulders, really sharp waist emphasis, things like that could make you look really more sexy. So let's take a look. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so this would work really well if you're rounded mixed. It has that oversized element, so it's going to make you look really dainty, really small, like the sleeves will. But then the top is still really, fitted, which is good because you have that small bone structure. And actually, you can see that this top has some sharpness at the shoulders. So, you can see how it just looks a bit sharper, a bit more fitted at the shoulders, which is going to be really, really nice on you. And it's also a satin texture, and satin is just gorgeous on you if you are rounded mixed. This would also work really well, lace detailing of all kinds looks really beautiful on you. And I like that it's fitted because you have this small bone structure, so it's not going to drown you or anything. So this would work really beautiful on you as well. Let's see. Something like this, like maybe tucked in, could work on you, but it looks like it might actually, well, maybe in black it would work better on you, because you don't want that pastel color. Like this might be more for pure rounded. And the other thing is that you can wear something like this even. You can wear basics. You don't have to always wear something that's super sparkly or whatever. The thing with basics though is that you wear a basic and then you want to accessorize it appropriately. So you really want to add a lot of jewelry to it. You want to do your hair in rounded mixed lines, so things with rounded shapes to it, to your hair. And your makeup being, fresh looking and with bright colors and things like that. Then you can just wear basics. You don't have to wear sparkly things all the time. You can wear something like this. You can wear something like that. Just think about how you can style it, right? How the accessories that you will use with it. So something like this. I would say this is too oversized, and you can see how it looks kind of nice on this model, right? Like be careful with things that are too oversized, that have like an open neckline, that are maybe too loose. Be careful with things like that because they can really drown your small frame. And even though this has sparkles on it, I would say this looks pretty good on this model. Maybe if it were a bit longer, it would look better on her, but still, it doesn't look that bad on this model. And this model is obviously like a sharpened type or something. So I think I've said this before in one of my other videos, is that, well, if it looks good on the model, like all of these models are pretty much like either sharpened or beveled firm, flamboyant natural or dramatic or something. So if, like, you can see how this looks kind of disconnected from the model, that's your sign that it probably is closer to your lines, right? Because the model has basically the opposite lines from you. So if it looks a little strange on the model, well, she's probably sharpened, so doesn't, and she's kind of like standing in different angles because it probably just doesn't look right on her. So she has to do all these angles. But yeah, it's a good rule of thumb. Like if it looks a little bit off on the model, it'll probably look good on you. Oh, this would look good. This kind of like hemline, you see the little frilly hemline or the frilly hem is a really good option for you guys. Oh, you can see it more clearly like that. Yeah. So you can think about getting tops like that. That is kind of like a really casual way to like sneak in some intricacy into your look without necessarily it being like lace or ruffles or something. So, you know, this you could wear like on a really casual day, something like this with this type of ruffle hem. So let's see. Let's go to the next page. Something like this would work really beautifully, especially in a bright color. I think that would work really well. Yeah, definitely, because it has all these ruffles and stuff. And I would say like this, you might think, well, Miriam, this is like for Mix Soft Gamine. I think Mix Soft could wear this, but I would be a tiny bit, not too worried, but a tiny bit worried that it's a little bit too soft for Mix Soft, for Soft Gamine. I would say that this is more for rounded mixed, you know, because you can see how the sleeves, they have really soft folds to them, and they're also small folds, so that's exactly like for rounded types. Yes, the neckline is high, but the sleeves having those folds that are a bit softer, they're not like very defined folds, and they're not sort of crisp. You know, if it were crisp, if it was made of a crisp fabric, then this would be for Mix Soft, but since it's made of this kind of like soft fabric that will fold like that, then that's more for rounded mixed. Yeah, this is the same as the other top, you guys remember, but this would work really beautifully for rounded mixed. This could work. I would like to see some waist emphasis. The thing is with this is I'm confused about if you were to wear it with like a high-waisted skirt or something and you were to belt it at the waist, how would it look, right? Because you don't want it to be all bunched up. So you really want to get this in your size. You don't want to get it to be too large so that it doesn't bunch up and create a bunch of folds like it would for like maybe beveled. So you want to be careful with things that bunch up too much and kind of might look big around the waist. Yeah, this would work pretty well. It is a soft color though, so it's tough, but something like, I mean, you can still wear like ivory and stuff. You certainly can. That's a staple color. You certainly can do ivory. I would just focus on making the makeup look quite fresh and bright so that you're not too washed out by it. This is for Mix Soft. This is actually for Mixed Top, Flamboyant Gamine, okay? Because, you know, yes, we have these little like the ruffle hem that I was talking about earlier, but we also have geometrics. So it's like a total mixture of opposites. So that's for Mixed Top. Something like this could work. I mean, like, high necklines are not completely ideal for you guys, like, not completely ideal, but since it looks so soft and it's made of chiffon and everything, like, this would work pretty well. Something like this could work well in, yeah, maybe in a different, not in the white, because this is really more like a pure rounded top, okay? And so what might happen is that if you also wear it in pastel, it might wash you out even more. So I'd recommend this in either black or the green. And then that might give like that little bit of brightness, you know, and that would work pretty well if you are rounded mixed. This is great, again, that little hem that I was talking about. Oh yeah, and the purple, that would be nice. You know, bright colors are really pretty on you guys. Oh yeah, this would be really beautiful, especially in the red or in the black. You know, that sheer fabric with like the folds and the gathers is just like so beautiful on rounded mixed. And if you're pure rounded and you happen to be watching this, then get the ivory one. And if you're rounded mixed, get the black or the red. This also works pretty well. You know, this type of neckline just looks like really dainty. It's like, it kind of is like a little bit of a V-neck, but not really. It has more of a rounded shape to it. So I really love this neckline for rounded mixed. And you can see how the top in general is just really fitted. It's fitted everywhere. So that's just, it's going to look really nice as like a staple for rounded mixed. And it has a lightweight fabric too. You know, it's a soft fabric. It's going to, you know, work with your softness, with the shapes of your body and everything like that. Something like this, like, it could actually work because, you know, it looks luxurious and the arms are actually pretty tight. So it's not going to be too overwhelming on you. So something like this could work because, you know, things that are a little bit oversized can tend to look soft. They have like a softness to them. So it could work. You might just really want to look out for cinching it at the waist really well. And, you know, if it were a different color, it would be even better because it's this soft color. It would be better if this top for you was like a bright color, you know. But it does look really quite soft. I think it could potentially work if you are rounded mixed. But it would certainly be more of a statement piece, but it would work well. And the key here is that you want to cinch it at the waist really well, and also the sleeves are tight. The sleeves are not loose. If the sleeves were loose, this would be more for sharp and soft. And really, sharp and soft could wear this pretty well too. So it's one of those rare instances where both sharp and soft and rounded mix could wear the same thing. That doesn't usually happen because sharp and soft has much longer lines. They have like really luxurious, oversized long lines, and rounded mixed has slightly oversized lines. Sometimes, you know, that can look luxurious, but you have short lines, you have small bone structure, so you really don't want to go for like oversized things. I usually wouldn't recommend something like this, but in this case, because the sleeves are tight and the shoulders fit well, you know, you could do something like this if you really cinch it at the waist. Okay, so let's move on to pants, and then we'll do skirts, and then we'll do dresses, and if we have time, we'll do shoes. Okay guys, so that's all I have for the excerpt. I hope you enjoyed this. Leave some comments down below, leave some questions if you have any, and if you are rounded mixed or theatrical romantic, leave some tips down below in the comments as well that you might have for other types, other people who have your type, and let me know your thoughts, and I'll leave a link down below to how you can join club. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.